Welcome to the class of DVMS. Today I am going to discuss about relational algebra and relational calculus. What is relational algebra? That we have already discussed in two previous lectures, and I am just summarizing my lecture about relational algebra today, so that you can have a look at the slide and you can easily understand what relational algebra was about. You can have a look at the operators here. And my motive of today's lecture, before showing you the same, the motive of my today's lecture is, like, my objective is you will learn various SQL queries, or I can say mathematical queries, in relational algebra. And in relational calculus, you are supposed to study about tuple relational calculus and domain relational calculus. So these, in calculus, it is based on two calculi, that is tuple and domain based. So I am going to discuss about the same. So by the end of this lecture, you will be able to handle your DBMS queries in an efficient manner, because you know the mathematical details behind the same, you know the SQL queries behind the same, how to handle the data efficiently and how to produce the desired output. So I am going to discuss about relational algebra operator that I have discussed so far in relational algebra lectures. That is, there are various operations and there are various notations that are being there to represent those operators. So similarly, there are functions that are describing that particular operation that is also mentioned here. So just have a look at the first operator, and very important operator. First is selection. So selection operator is very important operator in SQL database. It is represented with the help of this notation. I can say sigma. So it is applied on relation R, and what does it do, or how does it operate, or what is the function behind this operator, that is selection operator, that could be represented by this symbol. It produces a relation that contain only those tuples of R. R mean to say there is some relation that is holding some records, or it could be having some tuples with particular attributes, and we are supposed to fetch those records. Tuples of R, that is rows of R relation that satisfy the specific predicate. So here the predicate will be a particular condition that will be applied here. Now how do we apply the predicate? Predicate could be applied on attributes, because there are so many tuples. It could be 1,000 records, it could be 2,000 records. I am supposed to apply conditions on various attributes that are being present in the relation. So if I am supposed to choose, let's say there is the record of the students, and student name is the relation name, and or I can say a table name, it's student, and I want to fetch all the students whose names start with alphabet A. So it could be limited entries. Let's say there could be 10 entries, or there could be 20 entries could be there out of 200 records. So in that manner, 200 records could be fetched by particular condition, that is whose names are getting started with letter A. So that would be my predicate, or that could be my condition that I am applying on a particular attribute, because I am using attribute here, name. In student table, there could be a tuple, there could be a attribute that is having a name. So in those name attribute, I am recording 1,000 students. So out of those students, I want to fetch the record of those students whose name are having initials with letter A. So in this way, I am specifying this condition here. So in the same manner, all other operators will be applied. These are the notations, these are the functions that are being written here. Next is projection. Projection could be applied on relation R. It produces a relation that contains a vertical subset of R, that is to extract the values of specified attributes and eliminate duplicates. So projection is concerned with removing redundancy. We are supposed to remove redundant data to make it error free, or I can say to make it doubt free data. So in that case, projection operator will be used. Next is union. Union mean to say, let's say if R and S are two relations and I am applying union operator on these two relations, then it could be the resulting operation could be a new set that is formed with the help of the union operator. Let's say there could be elements in R and there could be some different elements in S. After applying union operator, I am getting the whole result. That is, let's say if in R relation there could be 1 and 2 element, and in S relation there could be 4 and 5 element. So after R union S, it could be 1, 2, 3, 4. So it is producing a relation that contain all the tuples of R or S or both R and S. Duplicate tuples being eliminated. In this, R and S must be union compatible. How duplicates could be removed in this? That is, let's say if set R is having 1 and 2 element, and set S is having 2 and 3 element. So the resultant will be 1, 2, 3. One duplicate of 2 will be removed. So next is set difference. Similarly, as we have discussed three operators, selection, projection, union, that are the main operators. We are supposed to use the set difference operator. What is set difference operator? R minus S. Let's say we are operating these operator on two relations. That is, one is table R and one is table S. And we are combining those two tables by applying a certain operator and particular condition as well. So what is difference? It produces a relation that contain all the tuples in R that are not in S. R and S must be union compatible. Same is the case with intersection. Now in intersection, R and S, this operator will be used in the form of AND. It produces a relation that contain all the tuples in both R and S. R and S must be union compatible. Similarly, Cartesian product that we have discussed yesterday, we have already done practical example of all the operators. I am just doing this because I am switching to next topic, that is relational calculus. So today I am completing my relational algebra by all the operators that have been discussed so far. So I am just giving you the overview about the same. So next is Cartesian product, that is R multiplied by S. Its interpretation is given, that is, it will produce a relation that is the concatenation of every tuple of relation R with every tuple of relation S. Next is theta join. Theta join could be represented with the help of this symbol. It produces a relation that contains tuples satisfying the predicate P from the Cartesian product of R and S, satisfying the predicate F that is being applied here. Next is equijoin. Equijoin could be represented with the help of this, that is, produces a relation that contains tuples satisfying the predicate F, which only contains equality comparison from the Cartesian product of R and S. So next is joins, equijoin, natural join, left outer join, semi-join. So these are four types of join that are being discussed. Equijoin, that produces a relation that contains tuples satisfying the predicate F. Same, that is a predicate F. Predicate F is a condition that is to be satisfied in order to satisfy this condition. Next is natural join. Now what is natural join? And join of two, a join that can be applied on two relations, that is R and S, over all the common attributes X. One occurrence of each common attribute is eliminated. Same is the case. Next is left outer join. Next is semi join. You can have a look at the interpretation. This is the symbol for the same, and this is the symbol for the semi join. What is the interpretation for the outer join? A join in which tuples from R that do not have matching values in the common attribute of S are also included in result relation. Next is semi join. It could be semi, and after applying the predicate F. So produces a relation that contains the tuple of R that participate in the join of R with S, satisfying the predicate F. Next is division. Similarly, we use a division operator in maths, R divided by S. So produces a relation that consists of the set of tuples from R defined over the attribute C that can match the combination of every tuple in S. C is the set of attributes that are in R but not in S. Next is aggregate. Now, if you remember, we have studied about aggregate operator. Aggregate operator is further having various operators, sum, count, average, minimum. So these are various types of functions that could be applied in aggregate. So this is the symbol for the same that we are supposed to apply on the relation R. It applies the aggregate function list AL, that is aggregate list, to the relation R to define a relation over the aggregate list. AL contain one or more aggregate functions or attribute pair. Because if you remember, sum, count, average, minimum, that have been discussed yesterday. So this was all about my relational algebra class, in which I have discussed various operators that are being displayed here, and how to operate those operators, and what are the queries or mathematical queries behind the same, that we have already discussed in the previous lecture with the help of the outcome. So next I am going to discuss about relational calculus. So, what is relational calculus? First question is, what is relational calculus? It is a non-procedural query language. Procedural query language is in which we are supposed to follow a particular procedure. Non-procedural, in which we are not following any particular procedure. So it is a non-procedural query language. In the non-procedural query language, the user is concerned with the details of how to obtain the end result. So the main concern about relational calculus is that it will tell us what to do. We are supposed to do I am supposed to do some mathematical operation. So he will suggest me, you are supposed to do that mathematical operator. But how to do that mathematical operator? It will never tell me about the same, because it will never tell me about you are supposed to use sum operator or you are supposed to use count operator. No, it will not tell me anything how to do the same. So that is why it is called non-procedural, because it is not following a particular procedure in order to handle the queries, or I can say in order to operate the queries in a efficient manner. So that is why it is called non-procedural language. So there are various types of relational calculus. So what basically is relational calculus? There is no description of how to evaluate a query. A relational calculus query specifies what is to be retrieved. Mean to say, I am giving you the target. This could be achieved, but how to do that? It could not be mentioned here, rather than how to retrieve it. So next main point of concern is it is not related to differential and integral calculus in mathematics. It is not related to differential and integral calculus in mathematics, because we have studied about the same in mathematics in 10th or 12th standard. But it takes its name from a branch of symbolic logic called predicate calculus. When applied to databases, it is found in two forms: tuple relational calculus, originally proposed by Boyce Codd in 1972, and domain relational calculus, proposed by Piroth in 1977. So in first order logic, like we are going to study about predicate. Predicate mean to say, if you remember, in last semester you might have studied about the subject, I think logical programming, logical and functional programming. I think this was your subject, and in which you studied about the predicates, truth table. What is truth table? True, false, 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 true, true. So these could be some condition. There are some interpretations in that table that you might have studied. So we are supposed to use that. So predicate is a truth valued function with arguments. When we substitute values for the arguments, the function yields an expression called a proposition. Yes, you have studied about propositions, which can be either true or false based on certain conditions. For example is given here. You can have a look at the same. The sentence is, John White is a member of staff and John White earns more than Anne Beach are both propositions, since we can determine whether they are true or false. In the first case, we have a function is a member of staff. It is a member, or he is a member of the staff, with one argument, that is John White. So in the second case, we have a function earns more than. Earning is more than, with two arguments, John White and Anne Beach. So if a predicate contain a variable, as in X is a member of staff, there must be an associated range for the X. When we substitute some values of this range for X, the proposition may be true. For other values, it may be false, depending on the certain condition. For example, if the range is set of all the people and we replace X by John White, the proposition would be John White is a member of staff is true. If we replace X by the name of a person who is not the member of the staff, then the proposition is going to be false. So next is, if P is a predicate condition, predicate means to say, or it could be a condition, then we can write set of all X such that P is true for X, and it could be written as this. In curly braces, by condition, we are applying only X. Or we may connect predicates by logical connectives and or not. This is and, this is or, and this is not, to form compound predicates. Now, coming to the major point of calculus. First is tuple relational calculus. So what is tuple relational calculus? Because in this calculus study, you are supposed to remember your subject LFP, that is logical and functional programming, that you have studied in, I think, 4th semester. So you are supposed to brush up your logical skills in that subject. In the tuple relational calculus, we are interested in finding tuples for which a particular predicate is true, or for which a particular condition is true. So the calculus is based on use of tuple variables. And what is a tuple variable? It is a variable that ranges, it could be having some range over a named relation, that is a variable whose only allowable values are tuples of the relation. For example, to specify the range of a tuple variable as the staff relation, we write staff with the help of S, that is the name of the relation. Now to express the query, find the set of all tuples S such that f of S is true, then we can write it as this one. So you can have a look at the same. Now here we are supposed to process the queries. F is called a formula or well-formed formula. Why? Example is given. To express the query, find the staff number, first name, last name, position, date of birth, salary, branch number of all staff earning more than £10,000. So we can write it as S. We know the relation is S. So we are supposed to apply that relation for the staff. So that is why it is S. Staff S and staff salary. Staff of S is having salary that is greater than 10,000. So S salary means the value of the salary attribute for the tuple variable S. To retrieve a particular attribute such as salary, we would write S salary for what? As staff and salary that could be greater than 10,000. So in this way, we are supposed to process queries in calculus. You can have a look at the same, and if you are having any query, then do let me know. Now I am going to tell you main concerns that main point of concern that are associated with tuple relational calculus. What are those? So the tuple relational calculus is specified to select the tuples in a relation, and in TRC, tuple relational calculus, short form is TRC, filtering variable uses the tuple of the relation. So the result of the relation can have one or more tuples. So there could be notations, there could be predicates that could be used in tuple relational calculus in order to fetch the required details. So as I have discussed earlier, that there could be notations that could be applied on the staff table. So there is a certain there are certain attributes that are associated with staff, and I am applying condition on a particular attribute that is related to salary. So I want the staff numbers who are having salary greater than 10,000 rupees. So in this manner, it could show me up with the details of the employees or staff members who are having salary greater than 10,000. So next is the existential and universal quantifier. The existential and universal quantifiers. The existential and universal quantifiers that we are supposed to use. There are two quantifiers we can use with formula to tell how many instances the predicate applies to. How many instances the predicate applies to. So the first quantifier is existential quantifier. That is, there exists, it could be represented with the help of the reverse E. That is, there exists. It is used in the formula that must be true for at least one instance. For example, staff and there exists branch B and branch number, which is equal to staff dot branch number and branch dot city, which is equal to London. So what does it mean? It means there exists a branch tuple that has same branch number as the branch number of the current staff tuple S, and it is located in London city. So next is the universal quantifier, that is for all. There are two quantifiers, there exist and for all. For all could be represented with the help of this symbol. For all, it is used in statements about every instance, such as for all B dot city, which is not equal to Paris. This means for all branch tuples, the address is not in Paris. So next is tuple variables that are qualified by for all or there exist are called bound variables. That is, otherwise the tuple variables are called free variables. The only free variables in a relational calculus expression should be those on the left side of the bar. Or I can say this is the concatenation symbol. Concatenation symbol could be like this one. So this is a bar. Treat it as a bar. For example, in the following query, have a look at the following query. S dot first name, S dot last name bar, staff S, and there exists branch B, and that branch B and branch number is having a branch number and branch city which is situated in the London. So as is only free variable and as is then bound successfully or successively to each tuple of the staff. So have a look at the queries. Tuple relational calculus, A and B, there are two queries that are being there. If you remember, we have used same tables, that is salary for property for rent and staff in relational algebra. So list the names of all the managers who earn more than 25,000 rupees. So that is salary dot or staff dot first name, last name bar, staff and position which is equal to a manager, and his salary could be, it could be a manager and its salary could be greater than 25,000. So you are supposed to list the same. And second is list the staff who manage properties for rent in Glasgow. So these are two tables that could be there, and you can create two tables. First is for the staff that I have already discussed, and you can create a table for the properties for rent. In that property for rent, you can create various attributes according to the conditions that are being given here. So the staff number attribute in the property for rent relation hold the staff number of the members of the staff who manages the property. So we could reformulate the query as for each member of the staff whose details we want to list, there exists a tuple in a relation property for rent for that member of the staff with the value of the attribute city in that tuple being Glasgow. If you remember, we have done same query in relational algebra in the yesterday class. Same is the case with here, but you are supposed to perform that query in relational calculus with the help of predicates. So in this query, there is no indication of strategy for executing the query. We just, because in relational algebra, you know, we are supposed to interpret the result, we are supposed to show the records, and we are supposed to show the matching in the end. In this, we are just supposed to, we are given with the query and we are just dictating it and we are presented with the result. We do not know how to operate the query because we are just producing the end results, or we are just concerned with the end result, and we are just doing it with the help of our assumption. We are not creating any particular table. You might have noticed the difference between today's lecture and yesterday lecture. Yesterday I was taking examples, I was giving you the examples, I was giving you the queries, and queries were being processed with the help of relational tables. But today I am just giving you the queries and I am just giving you the results and just a little bit dictation for the same. This is the query that is being given for relational algebra. Have a look at the same and see the difference between the two. This is third query. List the name of staff who currently do not manage any kind of properties. So this could be the query. You can have a look at the same. Staff dot first name, staff dot last name bar staff, and negation, there exists a property that is property for rent and s dot staff number which is equal to p dot staff number. So using the journal transformation rules for quantifier given above, we can write this as s first name, s last name, staff, and for all property we are supposed to, who do not manage any properties, that is not operator is being used, not property for rent, that is they are not managing any kind of property, union, not who currently do not manage any properties. Who, that is property for rent, and that is the name of those staff members who are not managing any kind of property. That is why negation is here. So staff number, which is equal to P dot staff number, that is property. So same D, you can have a look at the D query. List the name of clients who have viewed a property for rent in Glasgow. You can create a table for property for rent and create one table in which there is a city and put that city as Glasgow. You can write the name of the clients. Have a look at the interpretation of the query. Have a look at the interpretation of the query. List the name of clients who have viewed a property for rent in Glasgow. That is client first name, client last name, slash client. There exists viewing property, there exists property for rent, viewing and property for rent, and client number, which is equal to V dot client number, that is view, and V dot property number, which is equal to property number, and P dot city, which is equal to Glasgow. So what is the query saying? It is saying that it wants the list of the name of the clients, who have viewed a property for rent, who have viewed a property for rent, but the city name is Glasgow. In property for rent. So we are supposed to mention the name of clients in that property for rent table, but in the city Glasgow. So this is the interpretation for the same. So you can rephrase this: client who have viewed a property in Glasgow as client for whom there exists some viewing of some property in Glasgow. So next is domain relational calculus. What is domain relational calculus? So the second form of relation in calculus is known as domain relational calculus. Short form is DRC. So what happens in domain relational calculus? That is to filter the variable using the domain of attributes. So domain relational calculus uses same operators as tuple calculus. It uses logical connectives and, or, and not. It uses existential and universal quantifiers to bind the variables. So there could be notations that are being given here, that is A1, A2, A3, AN, bar P, A1, A2, A3 up to N, where A1, A2, A3 are attributes, P stands for the formula that is built by the inner attributes. So D1, D2, D3 are attributes, F is the formula, and M is the condition that is being given here. M is greater than equal to N. So what happens in domain relational calculus? In tuple calculus, we use variables that ranges over tuples in a relation. So in domain relational calculus, we also use variables, but in this case, the variables take their values from domains of attributes than tuples of the relation. we are concerned with attribute here. In previous, or I can say tuple relational calculus, we are concerned with tuples. Now we are concerned with attributes here. Or I can say formulas here. So an expression in the domain relational calculus has following general form. It could be D1, D2, D3. There could be any kind of attributes that would be there. F could be the formula that could be used. D1, D2, D3 up to Dm, they represent the domain variables. F, D1, D2 represent a formula composed of the atoms, where each atom has one of the following forms. So what are those forms? That is relation. There could be a relation in which there could be D1, D2, D3 attributes. So where R is a relation of degree n and each Di is a domain variable. So there is next condition that is being given here. It could be represented by theta. It means Di and Dj are domain variables, and theta is one of the comparison operator, that is less than, equal to, greater than, equal to, not equal to. That could be applied on the domains Di, Dj. Must have members that could be compared by theta. So next is Di theta C, where Di is a domain variable, C is a constant, as the name implies. C, it could be a constant from the domain Di, and theta is one of the comparison operators. So we recursively build up formulas from atoms using the formulas following rules. There could be any of the rules. An atom is a formula if F1 and F2 are formulae. So their conjunction F1 and F2, their disjunction F1 union F2, and their negation, that is not F1. And if F is a formula with domain variable X, then for there exists into F, that is some condition, and for all into there exists exists some condition are also some formula. So this is same case that you might have studied in predicate logic. In addition, you might have studied in discrete mathematics, because in discrete mathematics you are supposed to study about various logical operators, and or not, less than, equal to. These are operators, comparison operators basically, and exist there exist for all. These could be quantifiers that you might have studied in logical, functional, and programming language, and their main logic behind the operation of the theory is same that you might have studied in the subject. Same, we are supposed to apply the conditions on tuples. Similarly, we are supposed to apply those conditions on the attributes. And same, there could be statements in domain relational calculus, tuple relational calculus, and we are supposed to apply various conditions, or I can say predicates, on the same in order to fetch the particular details, or I can say filtered data could be fetched. So have a look at the example in domain relational calculus. Find the name of all the managers who earn more than 25,000 rupees. First name, last name, there exist staff name, position. These are attributes that I am getting for the staff table. Staff name, first name, last name, or I can say position, gender, date of birth, salary, branch name, position which is equal to manager, and salary is great. So main, this is the condition. This we already know. We are applying this on the staff table. So there could be these types of attributes that we already know. There could be n number of attributes. So, but main condition is position is equal to manager. That is list of all the managers. Position is equal to manager, and there is a certain condition, and who earn more than 25,000 rupees. So if we compare this query with the equivalent tuple relational calculus query in the previous example, we see that each attribute is given a variable name. You can have a look at the same. So the condition staff, which is holding various types of variables, ensure that the domain variables are restricted to be the attributes of same tuple. Thus, we can use the formula position is equal to manager rather than staff position is equal to manager here. Position is equal to manager, we are using it here. So note the difference in the use of existential quantifier. So have a look at the same. If you are having any query regarding tuple relational calculus and domain relational calculus, just tell me. I will clear your doubt. This is the second query, third query, and fourth query. Have a look at the same. List the staff who manage properties for rent in Glasgow. Same queries that we have studied in tuple relational calculus, but now we are using it with the help of processing it with the help of domain relational calculus. So this could be the interpretation. Here we are applying, we are using domain relational calculus, so we are applying it on the attributes. So that is why attributes are being written here, and there exists this city, and we are applying that on the staff. Staff is having various attributes, and property for rent. Yes, list all the staff. So these are the conditions about the staff, or these are the attributes of the staff. Yes, who manages property for rent? Okay, property for rent. There are various attributes, certain attributes for rent in city is Glasgow. So that is why it could be written here as this. Next is list the name of staff who currently do not manage any properties for rent. List the name of staff who do not manage, do not means negation, any property for rent, who do not manage any property for rent. So next is list the name of clients, that is clients, and clients attributes could be their first name, last name, telephone number, phone number, etc., etc. There could be n number of attributes. Who have viewed, yes, viewing relation could be there. What viewed? Property for rent, yes, property for rent, but in which city? That is Glasgow. So you can see the difference here and interpret the queries. E is also given, F is also given. Have a look at the same. List all the cities where there is a branch office or a property for a rent. City where there is a branch office or property for rent, and there are certain attributes that are associated with it. Next is list all the cities. Okay, city attributes where there is a particular branch. Okay, I am applying that condition on branch office, but no property, no is there, property for rent in that particular city. So this is the chapter summary. Relational algebra, that is a procedural language or high level procedural language. It can tell us how to do what to do and how to do. So there are 5 fundamental operators: selection, projection, Cartesian product, union, and set difference, that are basically used for the data retrieval. Next is relational calculus, non-procedural. It does not tell us how to do, but it knows how to do, what to do. Next is there could be 2 types of calculus, that is tuple relational and domain relational. Tuple could be applied on the tuples, domain could be applied on the attributes. So this was all about relational algebra and relational calculus. Relational algebra, unary operator, selection, projection, set operator, union, set difference, intersection, Cartesian product operator. Join operators, theta, equijoin, natural join, left outer join, semi-join operator. Division, in that division operator was there. Aggregate and grouping function, aggregate functions were there. Grouping operation was there. In relational calculus, the existential and universal quantifiers, tuple relational calculus, domain relational calculus. So there is a book for relational database management system, a book by Korth, that is available in the college library, that it issued from the library, and have a look at the same. So this is your today's quiz, so that you can have a better understanding about today's lecture. So you are supposed to do this quiz. 10 MCQs are there, and each question is having 4 choices. You are supposed to take any one answer, and in the end, you are supposed to submit me the answers. So 10 questions are there. Have a look at the same. So this was all about my today's class, in which we have finished relational algebra and relational calculus by processing various queries. Thank you. Have a nice day.